K. Oh, are you serious? Slam jam, bam. Get him ready for the NBA dunking contest.
Did you know that while Zion Williamson, R.J. Barrett, and Cam Reddish attended Duke University, the men's basketball program made $36.4 million in revenues? And while Coach Mike Krzyzewski was paid his $7.05 million salary, none of these three athletes made a dime. Nobody was paying for tickets to Cameron Indoor to see Coach K, and nobody was walking around with a t-shirt with his name on the back either. Every college student athlete is estimated to spend at least 40 hours per week dedicated to their sport, so they're working full-time to benefit the school financially. These 40 hours take away time from other things, including getting a part-time job to support themselves and their families. 86% of college athletes live below the poverty line. So if you can't work because of school and practice, where are you going to get money for food, support your family, or anything else for that matter? It is true that student athletes get free merchandise and gear, among other things. But what happens when someone like James Wiseman has a connection to a high-profile, high-level booster at the time in Penny Hardaway? Penny Hardaway is now the coach at Memphis University, but was basically a former player who donated to Memphis and stayed around the community. The reason for the scandal coming out was that a couple years ago, James Wiseman, who was then in high school, wanted to stay in his hometown in Memphis. Penny, having no connection to the coaching staff at Memphis at the time, financially assisted Wiseman in helping his family buy a house. Once he was named the head coach and once Wiseman committed to the University of Memphis, Wiseman was ruled ineligible for the entire season. And had he not been such a high-level, high-potential NBA prospect, his career would have been ended at the time. It really makes you wonder why the coaches are never the ones to blame, why Penny Hardaway wasn't fired or suspended indefinitely, why John Calipari is still coaching after paying someone to take Derrick Rose's SAT, and why Rashad McCann's jersey was pulled down out of the rafters after Coach Roy Williams allowed him to play without attending any classes. Even Coach K was rumored to have paid Zion Williamson a large amount of money for him to commit to Duke. Nothing ever amounted of it, though. The reason nothing ever amounted of it was because Zion was already in the NBA with an agent. And the figure and image of any coach, especially one like Coach K, is too precious and prestigious for the NCAA to tarnish with a scandal like that. Another example of a similar but different situation is former UConn basketball player Shabazz Napier, who after a game was quoted saying, "We do have hungry nights that we don't have enough money to get food. Sometimes money is needed. I don't think you should stretch it out to hundreds of thousands of dollars for playing, because a lot of times guys don't know how to handle themselves with money." The end of this quote is very important. Student athletes should not bring in absurd amounts of money. It should be a percentage of the revenue and just enough to support themselves comfortably. Probably somewhere around minimum wage with bonuses included like winning championships or being considered for all-conference or all-American awards. Another reason for this is if one of these student athletes gets hurt risking their body for the university, what do these schools do? They take away their scholarships and bring in the next kid to fill the spot. One of my close friends tore her ACL running track for her school. All they told her was that if she couldn't run, they'd take away her scholarship. No help with surgery or medical bills. Nothing. These student athletes are a dime a dozen to these schools because they feel everyone is replaceable. The amount of students whose school career ends as soon as their sport career does due to injury is astonishing. A lot of these kids come from situations where playing a sport is their only shot at a decent education or a chance of getting off the streets. The main issue I have with this topic and the reason for my stance is that the revenue from these schools is almost never used for the students' benefit. Instead of going to help the students, the earnings are being split between coaches and administrators in the form of huge salaries, including Coach K's who I mentioned earlier. He's not even the highest paid basketball coach. On top of that, John Calipari from the University of Kentucky makes $8.1 million a year. And in fact, Nick Saban, college football coach at Alabama, makes $9.3 million a year. It's honestly worrisome that it comes to the point that some colleges have to be forced to use their budgets to fund the athletic departments instead of just profiting themselves. We all see the amount of college sports gear, hoodies, jerseys, hats, towels, everything that is purchased and worn every year. the amount of fans in the stands in previous years, the advertisements as well as television revenue that's ran up for these college sporting events. It only seems right that the players we root for should profit somehow. In many cases, it seems they already are and are getting severe punishment for it. These universities even make it so athletes can't seek their own sponsors or profit in any way, like Johnny Manziel signing footballs, or Leslie McDonald appearing in a mouthguard commercial. Both saw backlash from the NCAA, and Leslie even a suspension. It seems like you're not allowing them to profit off their name, but making it possible for you to do it. All I know is my statement to the NCAA is if you refuse to pay these kids, at least let them profit themselves.